Hey everyone, this is Matt from DrawingTutorialsOnline.com. Welcome to another live stream video, and I'm happy to see you all here today on YouTube. So what today's class is going to be all about just having some fun, talking a little bit. Hey everyone, ooh, let me lower that. Oh, good God. Okay. Yes, today's going to be about drawing a little bit of anatomy. Out of our imagination a little bit. Maybe if we have time at the end, I'll draw a little bit from a photo or two. Now, listen, who is this live stream for? Well, this live stream is for anyone who really enjoys drawing the figure, but for some reason they feel like their figure drawings aren't quite where they want them to be, and a lot of that is because you're not putting in enough anatomical landmarks. So that's what we're going to talk about here today. So just to say hello to a couple of people. Phoenix, welcome. Paul, how are you doing? And there's Trinity. Trinity, I will see you tomorrow in our class, but I'm seeing you here today as well. Okay, so you know what I like to do, and I'm going to do my warm-up here first. Now, listen, for those of you who are artists, and we're all artists here, when you photograph your artwork, it's really beneficial to put a value scale on your sheet of paper. I think that is really super duper important, and it just gives the camera like more variety to look at in terms of the white balance. Yes, and it also, when you're photographing white paper, if you put like this value scale is really beat up. But just a side note, I think it's really super duper valuable for you to put a grayscale near your white sheet of paper so the camera can kind of focus on that. Now, my goal here today is to not get my head in the video screen. That's my goal. Leah is here. Amedio, I don't know if I'm saying your Mancini. And Giorgio is here. Hey, Giorgio from Perspective. I saw you in the hallway the other day, first floor of our animation building. And Ian is here as well. So, Giorgio, I just showed your vehicles piece. I think you did like the robot piece for a Perspective class. It was pretty cool. The dragon? Yes. Okay. Maybe I'm talking to the wrong Giorgio. You let me know, because there's a lot of Giorgios on YouTube. Okay, so listen, let me just do a warm-up quick here. I was already doing a little warm-up over here before we started, and I'm going to zoom in when we draw. So for those of you who have been with me, you know this is how I like to start. And actually, that was my warm-up for the day right over there. And I'm just going to do some ovals. Stacked ovals, I like to call them. And yeah, so I'm just going to do some ovals just to get my hand kind of going here, and just kind of stack them. And then what we'll do is we'll just do the letter C, okay, and then we'll do the letter C again, and then into the figure that I drew, or now we've kind of destroyed it, a little bit of like a letter C, and then into the figure that I drew here. Kind of go over your line and make it thicker, thicker, thicker. I think this is like one of the most important skills that you could have, is to be able to thicken up your line variety quickly. So yes, I like some students, they just draw with this skinny little line, and you kind of want to avoid that type of skinny line. I'm repeating myself, but I think this is important to repeat, because a lot of people repeat these same mistakes over and over and over again. So this is the complete opposite of what I'm doing here. This is more of a freer, flowier line, loose, like powerful, thicker. This is like split-second marks, thinner, straight, not as pleasing to the eye when you draw. So when you're drawing with me here today, I really do. Karina's here, Jean is here, and Baruch is here. Welcome, and Ian is here. Okay, so today when you're drawing with me, you kind of want to be like a little bit loose with what I'm doing over here. And I'm going to get to drawing here in a second. I'm just kind of stalling, waiting for one or two more people to join us. Okay, so now you know what I like to draw with. Here on the live stream, I'm going to stick with my Col-Erase black pencil. I love these. These are great. Hard to find, but very good. And no, I don't think they sell them individually anymore, but yeah, which kind of stinks. And I'm just using my Strathmore 400 series paper. It's about 80 pounds. Yeah, I'm not going to use any really super duper expensive paper for what I'm doing here today. I love this paper pencil combination. I've been using it for years. I've done some of my best drawings on it, so it's good for me. And okay, so with all that being said, let's get drawing here. Let me get to teaching you some techniques so I don't bore y'all to death. And I really do think that maybe I got to zoom in just like a little bit here. Okay, good. All right, now I'm going to just, okay, so what's the goal for today? The goal for today is for me to teach you a little bit of anatomy. Now, a little bit is the key word. Anatomy is one of those things that is so daunting and really is just a little chaotic when you first start to look at it. And so I'm going to teach it to you in a very simple form. We're just going to focus on the torso, and we're not going to try to talk about every single muscle and bone in the body today here on this live stream. From Italy, not a robot. No, Giorgio, what I was asking you was I have a student who was in my perspective class who was from Italy. Are you that student, or are you just another? I think you're not that student. Okay. All right, let's get started here. All right, let me make a mark as to where my edge of my paper is. And edge of the paper near the value scale and bottom of the paper. Okay, good. So what's my live area? Students always ask me how big I draw. So right now, that's kind of small. It's only about 8 inches. Okay, and that's fine because I'm not going to be drawing too big here. I might zoom out a touch just so I can have like a little extra room for my hand. Okay, let's do this, people. Here we go. So torso, the torso. So when you draw the torso, let's see, I want to make sure I get this a good size. When you draw the torso, it's basically the same thing as what we just did for our warm-up. Okay, so it's just what I just did there is I drew an oval on top of an oval without drawing the ovals. Okay, now every time when I do this in warm-up, I always love it. I draw with the least amount of line, and every time I do it on YouTube, you know, it's like when your car makes a noise and you bring it to the mechanic, like the mechanic's like, I don't hear a noise. But it's there. It's there. So I don't know what my analogy was, but let me just keep drawing. So you start with the torso, okay? And this line here that rolls in, quite frankly, for me, is the most important line. And I'm going to raise it up a little bit. And what that line really basically is the bottom of the rib cage, okay? So the bottom of the rib cage right about here. And then I could roll in again, like right here. So this would be the top of the pelvis, and this would be the bottom of the rib cage. So if and when you draw your torso peanut shape, that's a really, really good way to start. Now, right about here, I might kick out the torso peanut shape just a little bit. Now, you see what I'm doing here? I'm trying to be too perfect. And what I'm doing is I'm making things a little bit off. So I'm going to just try to go like a little bit faster. And then maybe I'll do another one, and I'll try to see if I can't do it with the way that I like to do it, a little bit looser. Okay, so we've got our rib cage that rolls in. And then this, I like to think of it as like the letter A, the bottom of the rib cage, which is called your costal margin. Now, what I like to do next, and the other thing that is bugging me is I'm really way too far away from this drawing. That's what's happening. Usually, I'll show you my bald head. I know you can't wait to see this, but usually like I'm like really close. And when I'm close, I'm more relaxed. And so I've got to keep that in mind. All right, so first rib right over here. It's like your hole in the rib cage, okay? And then we've got our sternum, which is the center line. And right about here, I'm going to do what is called the pubic bone, right above your privates. Now that feels a little low to me, but I'm going to just put it right about there. So if we come from our sternum and we go all the way down to our pubic bone, okay, that's how you want to think about it. Now, okay, people, I don't like how I started here. I don't like it. This is called live stream. This is gross. I could keep going, but I'm gonna flip my paper. Screw it. At risk of like seeming too eccentric here, I don't care. I don't like that start. I'm going to start over again. First of all, I was drawing a little bit too small. Second of all, I didn't like the way that it looks. And third of all, I'm going to start over again. Sorry. Hey, Elijah, how are you? Sometimes when you care too much, that's not a good thing. Sometimes you have to like not care and your drawings just come out so much better. Okay. And then maybe what we'll do at the end of this live stream is we'll do it like a comparison critique to see, was my first start really that bad? From Italy, not a robot. Okay, Elijah. Yes, I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Absolutely. Okay, let me start again. So, yes, here we go. And zooming in, Matt. Zooming in. Good. So I'm going to start the same way now, and I'm going to actually pay attention to what I'm doing. And I'm going to start with the torso peanut shape once again. So torso peanut shape once again. Same thing now. Same thing. Just like that. Cool. Now, I'm going to roll into the bottom of the rib cage like I just showed you, but we're going to use less line now, a little less line. I'm going to put in my sternum. I'm going to go with that edge for my torso, okay, and this is the costal margin. So I'll put in my first rib, which is just an oval at the top of the rib cage, and that would be our rib cage. So that is anatomy lesson number 1 in this live stream, that it's so easy when you just do the torso to first kind of get in that rib cage. And so you get the bottom of the rib cage, which is right about there. And as that rib cage goes up towards the top, it kind of tapers. So now if we come back down to, we're going to call it like the hip portion of our torso, and I'm going to say this is the pubic bone, which is above your privates. Okay, so now if I come down from the bottom of the sternum, which is this center line at the center of your rib cage, and I go down to the pubic bone, your navel is roughly in the middle. So your navel is not a dot. It's like this little letter C, and I like to wrap it around like that. Okay, cool. We're getting somewhere now. So the next perhaps bone that I would put in is the collarbone. So our collarbone would go across. Now, truth be told, first rib goes under the collarbone. So let's just get the collarbones in. And I'm kind of putting them in like a little bit lighter. So I'll get the 2 collarbones, aka clavicles. And now I'm going to come back down and I'm going to get these 2 little dots. What are these 2 little dots? Well, those 2 little dots are, I believe they're called anterior superior spine of the iliac crest. Okay, and your iliac crest is the top of your pelvis. Okay, so I'm going to kind of get that in. And then what I'm going to do from the ASIS, anterior superior spine, is I'm going to do my inguinal ligament, which kind of makes a V shape. And now after I do that, I want to lift up that pubic bone just a little bit like that. So as a recap, what did we just do there? Well, we just put in our rib cage, we put in our first rib, we put in our collarbones, our clavicles, we put in the sternum, the center line, we brought the center line down to the navel, and then we went to our pubic bone. Okay, cool. And then what we did was we did the iliac crest and the anterior superior spine of that. And then what I like to do is I like to wrap around. This is called the inguinal ligament and pubic symphysis, I believe that's called. Okay, so how many landmarks? How many anatomical landmarks? We've got the rib cage 1. We've got the hint of the pelvis 2. We've got the clavicles 3. We have the central line of the navel, which is 4, and we have the inguinal ligament, which could be 5. So far, we're doing a little soft tissue, would be your navel, a little ligament, which would be the inguinal ligament, and bone. So I think if you're going to study something, it should be bone first, okay? Because bone is easier. Now, let's add on to this and build out this figure. So what I think I want to do is I want to move my rib cage in a little bit so it tapers. And for this particular person, I want the hips to be like a little bit wider. So what I'm going to do here, and you can design your torso however you would like to design it. You can make the top thicker, you can make the bottom thicker. Your call, your character, okay? Hip bone. So right now, Trinity, hip bone, people call the hip bone, but that's like a layman's terms. It's really the top of your femur. So that, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit over here because I'm sticking with the torso, but right where I'm doing that circle is kind of where your hip bone would originate from, like your, it could be a wee bit lower over here where your femur is going to start to come out from. Okay, so let me resharpen this pencil, and I'm going to build on this now. So I'm going to say, okay, this would be our collarbone, and rib. So now let's add on. So what I'm going to add on next is your abs. So your abs start at the lower ribs near the costal margin, and it's actually an 8-pack, not a 6-pack. And they are going to come on down to your... Now, I'm going to outline the anatomy, which is going to make the drawing feel very stiff, but we'll draw a looser one after. Let's just do it so it looks like a little bit stiffer. So that's your abs, rectus abdominis. So it might look a little bit like that, okay? And then next to that would be your obliques, and your obliques... external obliques kind of wrap around your side like this, like a partial cylinder, okay? And if I just kind of draw that partial cylinder like that. So this is where our external obliques, and you're usually, if someone's really thin and they're in shape, you're going to feel this like see that little teardrop, and you're going to see around, okay? So then we would see the other external oblique over there. That is how I would kind of think about it. So far, what we've done here, and boy, this person's built like a tank. I really drew them kind of thick. So we have our rib cage, sternum, abs, external obliques, and the external obliques go up into the abs. Okay, so now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to resharpen my pencil, and I'm going to just come on in. So it would be rib, external oblique comes in, inguinal ligament, front of the pelvis, anterior superior spine, iliac crest. Okay, awesome. So we're going to move around now, and where should we go next? We're just talking about the torso today on YouTube. So next, what I want to do here is I just want to get in the deltoid. Okay, so I like to think about the deltoid as being an upside down kind of ice cream cone. I like cheesy things. Well, not really. I don't like cheesy things, but I like not taking this too seriously. And I like having fun with this sort of stuff in the classroom. And this is how people remember. So your clavicle on both sides is going to be at the top of your deltoid. And your deltoid, the front head of it, is the anterior head is going to attach to about 1/3 of that clavicle. Okay. And that's really important. And then our last little big bone, or I'm sorry, big muscle that we will put on this torso, and I'm going to move this deltoid out, is going to be the pectoralis major. Okay, so I'm going to put our pectoralis in. It comes from the humerus, okay, and pectoralis major right about there. Now, look, this is what happens when you outline everything. It becomes stiff, but it's an anatomy tutorial here on YouTube, so I got to deal with that. So now maybe over here we'll have part of the lat showing. And then the last little doodads, these are like finger-like things. So it's serratus anterior, serratus anterior, serratus anterior. And then I'm going to come down rib, rib, rib. Now, I think it's powerful when you memorize this because it gives you and thankfully I've memorized it because it gives you so much knowledge and understanding when you are drawing the human body from life. And when you're looking at the model from life, you understand all of these bumps and things and highlights. I'm going to move the navel over. You understand it so much better when you understand it from memory. Okay, so if we continue down now with this, and this is our top of our pelvis, the iliac crest, this is where your gluteus medius would be, which is a triangular muscle. And yes, that's going to attach trinity to the hip bone, which is right about there. Okay, so what I'm going to do with the legs today is I'm just going to treat them a little bit more like a statue drawing. I'm going to break them off like right about there. Okay, and I'm a little heavy with this, and like I said, I'm going to try to do one like a little bit looser after this one where I'm outlining everything to death, which stiffens it up. And I try to teach that to my students at the School of Visual Arts. Please don't outline the figure 100%. When you do, it looks like this. It looks a little stiff, okay? So now I might move over this deltoid just a wee bit and move over this deltoid just a wee bit. And that's all about how wide do you want the person's shoulders, okay? So let me resharpen my pencil. I just want to refine this a little bit. Cool. So I'm going to come on down once again, and I'm just going to go over it one more time. One more time. So this right here is your latissimus dorsi coming from the back. It's around, round, round, round. Okay, and bottom of the rib cage, kind of. It rolls into the body. And then we have our oblique, external oblique into the hip. And I'm going to come on down. This is our iliac crest to the front of our pelvis. This is where your belt would go. And I'm kind of being very elliptical over here with my line. It's very important that you use the elliptical lines over here at the lower abs. Again, pubic bone. And then, your privates right under the pubic bone. Sometimes you'd see like a little bit of the gluteus max coming through the back. And okay, so this right here comes down and it's your sartorius, and these are your adductors. Okay, cool. I don't want to get too much into the leg, but this is your gluteus medius. So yes, let's just do the bottom of that leg, bottom of that leg. And once again, coming back into the pec major, I'm going to do a cylinder line, cylinder line, cylinder line. Let's just do the center of it and center of it and kicking out that deltoid once again. And if I wanted to, I can just hint at the bicep, which is the opposite letter C, and cylinders like that, and bicep, which is the kind of the opposite letter C. Now, boy, oh boy, did I draw that person thick. Damn. Okay. My goodness gracious. Okay, I'm going to draw one a little bit more elegant But this is our anatomy lesson. So, Kat, I don't think Kat is here today, but Kat asked me to teach anatomy, and this is how. This is a great way to learn it. Now, I'm going to next shoulders. So, shoulders is trapezius, and it's a cylinder. And I'm going to treat this like a statue at the Met. So Greek and Roman wing, and I'm just going to do that. Okay. So yeah, goodness gracious me, look at that thing. That is, it is what it is. It's an anatomy lesson. Okay. Okay. Anatomy lesson. Hey Marie, how are you? Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. Okay. What else can I share with you? Let's do a recap. Now, what could be nice is you taking your eraser and just erasing out some of this so we can make it a little less outliney. And yes, a little less outliney. Outlines are the kiss of death when you are drawing the figure. You have to outline in strategic areas, not everywhere. Okay, so look at what that just did. I still don't love the drawing because it's an anatomy drawing and I have to outline for everybody, so I'm teaching you stuff. We'll do one after that's not outlined, and I'll show you. I'm good. Yeah, awesome, awesome. Good to hear from you, Marie. Okay, so I'm just going to again roll in external oblique. Okay, this little lip over here of the external obliques, iliac crest. Let's recap it. So pectoralis major, front head of the deltoid, side head of the deltoid. This is our clavicle where it attaches to your acromion of the scapula right there at the top. And so I'm just going to represent that as an oval. Cool. And yes, your clavicle is a cylinder. I'm doing like a lot of cylinder lines. So when I draw the figure, what do I draw? I'm drawing the form of anatomy. And that's what I'm trying to teach you all here today. Now, you can go across and you can connect things with these connectors. So I'm going to connect like that. Again, sternum down to the navel. With the navel, I'm going to go around. So we show that, and then around, around, around over here. So our costal margin, I should say. And we've got a rib, we've got a rib, we've got a rib, we've got a rib. We have a serratus anterior. That comes around from the back of your hidden part of your scapula. Yeah, so that is my anatomy torso. So maybe what I'll do here is I'll label it. So we're going to call this pec, trapezius. We're going to call this the deltoid. We're going to call this the latissimus dorsi. We're going to call this, my goodness gracious, this one's a long one. Serratus anterior. And yes, over here, external oblique. Did I spell that right? I hope I did. This here is our glute medius. And, abs, adductors. What else? Clavicle. What else? Yep, we got pec. Costal margin. So it's important that you memorize these muscles and bones. If you want to draw people out of your imagination, if you want to do better at drawing the figure, with these anatomical landmarks, I think it's really super duper important that you memorize this and you understand it and you understand its form. Okay. Let me just look if there's any questions. So the deltoid is 1/3 the length of the clavicle, and the clavicle covers the entire deltoid. Okay. So I'll draw it over here for you, Cynthia. So if this is the collarbone, and here's the collarbone kind of going the other way. And now our collarbone ends here, and it attaches to the acromion of the scapula. Okay, cool. So we've got that. Now this would be first rib that goes underneath. Now the deltoid, if this is about 1/3 of the clavicle. So again, the deltoid is a cone shape, and it starts about here on that clavicle. Now that's a huge deltoid. My goodness gracious. I drew it a little bit too big. So this is our, I guess it's called anterior for the front, anterior head of the clavicle, and it of the deltoid, and it attaches to 1/3 of the clavicle. It could come in a little bit more. And then this right here is the lateral side head of that deltoid. Okay. So, and then it wraps around the back, and that's the posterior head of the deltoid, and that attaches to your scapula, 1/3 of the scapula. Now, your pectoralis muscle is pec major is here. And if you look at that Leonardo da Vinci style drawing, you can see Leonardo da Vinci has these like striations of like the chest muscle attaching to this, which is your sternum, center of the chest. So it's and it's a cylinder. It's an oval. And okay, so I hope, oh, I'm off camera a little bit. Let me zoom out. My bad. I need to get my poop together here. There we go. So this is a rough sketch of it out of my imagination. And so again, this would be your pectoralis, front head of the deltoid, your shoulder, lateral head, side head of the deltoid, and then this is your trapezius that goes around, goes around, goes around. This is the top portion of your trapezius into your neck. Okay. Now, if I'm going to come on down, this would be the next one that you should really learn, and it's the sternomastoid. I call it the sternomastoid muscle that comes down from behind your ear from your mastoid process of the skull. And that's the next one that I think is really important for y'all to learn. But now we're getting into the neck, and I don't want to get into the neck. I want to stick with the torso. Okay. So this is where if somebody is modeling in my classroom and they're like a dancer and they're really thin and they're in shape, you get lucky and you see the serratus over here. They almost look like shallow fingers, and then it's rib, then it's rib, then it's rib. I know that's one big hot mess right over there. Yes, Giorgio, before COVID. Gotcha. See ya, Elijah. I know this is like not the most exciting live stream. Okay, people, any questions? Any questions? I think what we should do is draw another figure. Yes. And I'm gonna get another piece of paper. So just if you can just bear with me for a second, I'll be right back. Okie dokie. Here we go. So let me just remove this sheet. And if anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat. Now, I would really appreciate it if you like this video please like it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. And okay, so I do have some photos of models. I kind of wanted to do this today out of my imagination. The photos are all right. I had to block the sensitive areas so I don't get banned from YouTube. So I just painted on top of them with a paintbrush. Okay, blue tape. Now, I want to share with you, before I draw again, I just want to share with you two things. And let me put my value scale here so the white balance is a little bit more balanced. I love this book, from How to Draw the Human Figure, from Louise Gordon. I have had this book for so many years. I remember, I think they asked me, the college, to teach anatomy in the early 2000s. I went out, bought a skeleton, which I just sold. I don't need it anymore. And I bought this book. And this book was the one of the best investments for me. And I like it because inside it's simple. So I don't want to show you the whole book here on YouTube because I don't know what their rules are for this. But I like the drawings in the book. I think they're spectacular. And here's the thing with anatomy. You can't try to learn it all at once. You have to just learn the bones first and then learn the muscles, and then just take it one body. This is what I was talking about, that Leonardo da Vinci drawing with the striations in the chest. That's actually right here. That's what I was just trying to show you. And so, like, if you draw, let's say, and I'm plugging the Louise Gordon, so this is free advertisement. A lot of people have bought this book, so I would support this artist all day long. They're so good, and I love this book. So it's Louise Gordon, and it's How to Draw the Human Figure, an Anatomical Approach. Now, what people do is they buy the book, and then they just check out. Like, you open it, and you're like, oh boy, these are like drawings from like over 20 years ago. My God. Yeah, these are this is early 2000s, like over like 25 years ago. My God. Okay, we've come a long way. So you start to look, and like, oh, I could do this. This is kind of cool. And then you look at this, and you're like, oh God, what? Sacro what? And you look at all the ribs, and what do? You shut the book, and you're like, okay, I bought the book. I feel good about myself. But you have to approach it the way that I just showed you. You just start with the torso, and you memorize the bones that you see on the front of the torso. And you get a good picture of the model, and you just say, okay, I think that the low-hanging fruit is to draw the clavicles and the shape of the rib cage, not all of the ribs, just the shape of it. And then right over here, the anterior superior spine of the pelvis. This is called the iliac crest. And if you could do that, my goodness gracious, you're going to learn so much just by doing that. Okay. But if you try to draw all the ribs right away and everything all at once, and you try to memorize it's going to be overwhelming, and you're going to check out, and you're not going to follow through. Okay. So let's do another one. Repetition is the mother of skill. So today's class is pretty straightforward. Let's see. Oh, okay. We got 31 people watching. Not bad for the morning. All right. Let's see. 1 second. I need to get a little drink here. I think we should use the photo. But then again, I think I should draw another one out of my imagination for you. Because if I can do it out of my imagination, you can do it out of your imagination, because I'm giving you like these very simple steps on how to do this, okay? So I'm going to start again, but this time I'm going to tilt the torso in the opposite way. And so the first thing, am I on the paper here? Yeah, okay, so cool. All right. So I'm going to start lightly, a little bit lighter, and I'm going to start with my torso. I call it the torso peanut shape. I'm starting with the torso peanut shape. Now, that could be a front view or it could be a back view. So I'm going to treat it as a front view. So I'm going to say, okay, what I like to do next is I like to get the bottom of the rib cage. So I want you to do this with me. So this is a real follow along video. So I can help you memorize some bones and some muscles on the front of the body. These are the surface muscles, okay? So we're going to say bottom of the rib cage, bottom of the rib cage. This is our convex line that rolls into the body, rolls into the torso peanut shape that makes it feel round and not flat. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a touch more. Good. Now, for some reason, yeah, you don't need to see me. You don't need to see me that close up. Trust me. I'm getting old. Okay. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to just be a little bit more natural with it. I'm going to try not to be so anatomical with it. And so maybe next what I'll do is I'll draw breasts. And I'm going to connect. So center of the breast, just like that. So now that breast is on top of the chest. So next I'm going to do the couple of form lines that indicate pec major. Okay. And this would be rib coming in. Okay. And then ribs coming in. So I'm going to wrap around the rib cage with that breast. So now you can see I'm a little bit more warmed up. It looks a little bit more natural. I'm not outlining everything to death. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come down the external obliques and I'm going to indicate where the top of the pelvis is. And I'm going to go around with where the belt would go. And this is our anterior superior spine of the iliac crest, the pelvis, which is right about here. So you have to put these two little ovals in to indicate the front of that pelvis. Okay? Awesome sauce. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the V shape from those two little ovals, the front of the iliac crest, and get in the pubic symphysis. Okay, that's a tongue twister. And some of these anatomy terms, they're tough. They're tough. So just do the best that you can. I'm doing the best that I can. It's like a language. If you don't speak it every day, you're going to lose it. So I really do feel like my next step, if this is where I feel the bottom of the sternum is, rib cage, my navel is going to be in between the sternum and the pubic symphysis. So right about here, I'm going to put that navel. Okay, and I want to resharpen my pencil. So what should we do next, people? What should we do next? We should indicate where the first rib is. First rib. How does that look? So technically our rib cage is going through the breast. Now, I don't want to outline this one 100%. And so I'm going to say our clavicle is above first rib. Just like that. Clavicle is above first rib. Okay. So we've got an indication of the clavicles. We have an indication of the sternum. We have an indication of the front of the pelvis. And we have an indication of kind of the bottom of the rib cage. And this is the pubic symphysis above your privates. So if you just got these landmarks in, these anatomical landmarks, holy Moses, that would be freaking phenomenal. So now maybe I'm not going to outline this deltoid so much. I'm just going to suggest and I'm going to come on down and I want to break the arm there. Cool. So this could be bicep. Pec major rolls in to the humerus. This would be our deltoid convex line, top of this cone shape. And maybe what I want to do is make the rib cage a little less wide. So I can come in over here. Let's go to the oblique and our gluteus medius, which would be right here. Okay, for some reason I'm making my figures a little wide today. So maybe what I'll do is I'll bring this side in, bring that side in, and I like that a little bit better. I don't know why I'm drawing so thick figured today. Nothing wrong with thick figured. That means they're strong. Yeah, all day long. Okay, so I'm just kind of going over this, taking away some of my heavy-handedness. And so, yeah, okay. So you've got to wrap around over here, and our navel would wrap down. And now what I could say is, where are we with space? Okay, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. Maybe, so what else can I do here? The other shoulder. The other shoulder. So I want to resharpen 1 second. I'm going to move over, well, sternum just a little bit. Now, you wouldn't see the sternum that much like that. So rib, oblique. I normally don't erase this much, but it is what it is. Just fight through it some days, right? Now, outline in all of this is the kiss of death. Remember that. If you take one thing away from this live stream today, when you outline every square inch of your figure drawing, it's just death. Death meaning stiff, okay? And nobody wants to draw a stiff figure drawing. Now, I've outlined everything, but at least I'm varying the line thickness. Now, in a live drawing class, I'm never going to outline everything like this. I'm going to pick and choose my battles. So let me just show you where things are for your anatomical landmarks. This would be the front of your obliques, and they're going to wrap around like that. And maybe we'd see like a little line over here on the model's body. And so that would be the front of those obliques. And then the abs are coming down, attaching over here. And then they kind of insert into the seams of the ribs. Okay, and I'm going to lower the navel. It feels a little too high up there to me. Okay, that's better. And so sometimes what you'd see over here is like a little like bottom of the rib, bottom of the rib, bottom of the rib. And now our deltoid would be attaching to the clavicle. The clavicle would be here. This would probably be the acromion of the scapula. And yes. Okay. So let's talk about the anatomical landmarks that you need to put into your figure drawings. You definitely, when you're drawing the front view, do even like this is most vital for your portrait drawings also. Always show the collarbones, the clavicles. What's the next landmark? The bottom of the rib cage rolling into the torso. What's the next landmark? The front of the pelvis as little ovals. Okay. The front of the iliac crest. It's hard to show the pubic bone because everyone gets fixated on the privates, male, female, whatever. But I'm kind of not putting anything in here today. I'm being YouTube friendly. Any questions, please let me know. Okay, so now let's so deltoid is your ice cream cone. And then our trapezius. And I'm just going to put in my oval at the top of the neck. and our trapezius is around, around, around. It's a cylinder. Once you start to do that, things start to make like a wee bit more sense. And yes, deltoid. Now, deltoid's a wonderful opportunity for you to roll in with a convex. This would be the outside push out the tricep. And now we've got like a little pocket over here of darkness, the underarm area. And you don't want to make it too dark. So go around, go around, go around over here with that pectoralis. And then that breast is sitting on top of the pectoralis. Represent the center of the breast with an oval. Okay. Represent the center of the breast with the oval. And now I'm going to do an indication of serratus, serratus, rib, rib, rib. I'm not trying not to outline everything here. Probably see another serratus over there. My proportions are a little bit off. Oblique strand, striation of muscle. And then our abs maybe would have a little over here, a little over here. And I wouldn't outline them the way that I did. This starts to turn under towards the private, so we can do that. And then, yeah. Okay, so now let me go over it one more time. Yeah, so let's start from the lat muscle here. Lat muscle, rib cage, oblique, gluteus medius rolls in. This is where that greater trochanter of the femur would kind of be. Maybe your hip kind of sticks out, a little fatty tissue on the outside of the hip. Okay, and once again, adductors, and then we have our, I'll get into the leg a bit here, our sartorius, adductors. Okay, the other leg, I'm going to just blend in the lower abs into the leg over here. Cool. And maybe over here, when you do shading on the model, I think it's on the breast area, I meant to say. Let's say we're going to add form light. It always goes to the center of the breast, always. So if I wanted now to start to shade this, I'd loop down, center the breast, bottom of the breast. Cast shadow goes around a rib, around a rib, around a rib, around a rib. And then what I can do here is just shade straight up and down, straight up and down, straight up and down. And we've got like a little shadow area there now. And sometimes that will cast a shadow on the bicep. And I could roll down now over here to this oblique, a little bit of shading to the gluteus medius down this leg. And I can just do something like that and just shade over these muscles. So I like, you should do this, people. This should be something that you practice over and over and over again, being able to draw the human torso with anatomical landmarks out of your imagination. Now, you try it. It may not come out perfect the first time, but you try it. And I'm going to just simplify this area. And you keep doing it until you get it. And it originates from the torso peanut shape. Yes. Okay. Now, I'm outlining all this stuff. I'm going to go lighter here. That's background. Now, this is the angle of the hips. Angle of the shoulders should go the opposite way for that, like, pose. Very natural. And, yes. Questions? There's no questions today, people. Does anybody have any questions about this? If I'm going to do a head, I'm going to start it with the letters opposite, all the letter C. And let's see, do I have room for that? I'm going to do my alien shape for that head. And what else can I do here? So now let's add some thick line. So thick line rolls in, fold of skin rolls in, or oblique into the top of that pelvis, or gluteus medius kind of rolls in. This would be our TFL muscle. And navel once again, bottom of the rib cage, bottom of the rib cage. Don't go so dark with the bottom of the breast. Separates it from the body. I'm going to cruise up. Sometimes the front head of the deltoid catches light like that. And once again, clavicle. It's a little bit more level than what I've got there. Let's okay. That's our anatomy lesson, people. I appreciate that, Michael. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I've got a full-blown anatomy course on my website, drawingtutorialsonline.com, and we start with the bones. Now, these drawings are old, but anatomy is timeless, and I've gotten so much better since when I did that course. But like I said, anatomy is timeless, and I really do think that anatomy, if you're serious about being able to draw people and being able to draw the figure and being able to draw the figure out of your imagination, take it one step at a time. So our one step today was this, which is very stiff and kind of very ugly, but you've got to do this. And it's just, we started with the torso shape. And then we big stuff first, like rib cage and pelvis. So I'm going to do one more like little thing over here for everybody, because I'm a big believer in this stuff. Let me just tape this piece of paper down. Now I'm trying to teach this to you the simple way. I'm trying to do a pretty drawing as well, but I'm also trying to be simple with it. So pretty much, if you can just think of that shape first, huge, important. Second shape, letter A, just like, look, that's the letter A, the bottom of the rib cage, letter A. The bottom of the rib cage over here, rolling in. Now, look. First rib. What else? Sternum. What else? Between the sternum and the pubic bone. Navel. What else? Bowl shape for the pelvis. Bowl shape. I'm lowering the pubic bone to the bottom of the bowl. Now the bowl represents the pelvis, and it's gross, but the pelvis holds your intestines. Okay, what's next? I'm just going to do breast. The breast is just an oval. Center of the breast is another oval. Everything for me with drawing, look at what I've done here, people, on YouTube. Everything goes back to the way that I like to warm up. Ovals. Everything is an oval. This is the most powerful shape when you are drawing the human body. So first rib is an oval. The entire rib cage is an oval. The oval for where your belt would go, top of your pelvis. Oval for the breast. Oval kind of for the navel. Let's keep going with the ovals here. So let's see. top of the pelvis, kind of ovalish. And I'm going to go to Loomis right now, and I'm going to do an oval for, I love the way that Loomis thinks about the side of the pelvis. He likes to think of it as like these two ovals go into the pubic bone. And this is where, do I have space for this? This is where your femur comes out of. Okay, and your femur. Cool. And lower abs around. This would be your front of that. Okay. Cool. This is your abs, your separation between your abs and your obliques. Serratus anterior, serratus anterior, serratus anterior, rib. It's a formula, and you can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. Now, okay, how do I want to draw this breast here? So why am I screwing up with that breast? We should just kind of represent it as an oval. Let me resharpen. The way that you get, hey, Jillian, nowhere H. I appreciate that. So listen, how do you get better with your lines? You get better with your lines by doing ovals. And I'm not doing the oval this way. I'm not lifting my pencil off the page. Don't do this. This will destroy your line. That's better. My pencil's going to break. I can feel it. What am I doing? Okay, we were talking breast. Okay, so better. So look at how I'm connecting. What am I doing? Let's do collarbone. Let's do ice cream cone for deltoid. Cool. And let's come in with the rib cage. It's a little too wide. I'm going heavy. Oh, my pencil's going to break. Oh, and I like this pencil. There you go. Look at that. I knew it was going to break. Okay, hold on. Okay, now I'm drawing with a short stub, which I don't recommend. Darn it. Okay, so I'm going over this. And let's kick out. Privates are under the pubic bone. Cylinder for that leg. Gluteus medius. Am I on camera here? Yeah, okay. Go over your line, press down hard on it. This here is a nightmare. Okay, it's a nightmare. I went too thick with it. But who cares? Bicep. We're just focused in on the torso, people. Chest. Let's see, do I like the way this looks? Not really. Go around, shoulders. Pectoralis. Around. This is the same thing that I showed you earlier. So this is a wacky looking. This is a pretty wacky looking figure right here, people. But I'm liking it because it is wacky. So now I'm going to shade. Let's see if we can't bring it home. And I hope you got something from today's live stream. And if you have any questions, please just let me know. And again, I'm just kind of mucking around here. It's kind of fun. And I'm going to give this person bigger deltoids. And I'm going to shade. Longer bicep. What else can I teach you here? Questions. Back of the torso. That's another live stream. But if I can do one very quickly, I'm gonna draw it the same way that I just drew this one. Okay, and look, loose, better, tight, stiff. Loose, messy, better. Tight, stiff, too perfect. Trying to be too perfect. Let's do a back view, and we'll close out. I didn't want to do a back view, but nobody asked me a question, but you know where. So, yes. That's a good one, too. When drawing the male body, okay, so let me be general. Generally speaking, males are a little bit more square. However, I have had female athlete dancers come into my classroom and they are as square as anybody else. So it depends on the, I'm going to go with the word individual. Every individual body is different. And so if you're an athlete with like 5% body fat, you're going to be more square. It's that simple. If you're 25 pounds overweight, you're going to be more round, whether you're a male or female. It doesn't matter. It's not about body. It's about weight, in my opinion. And also, let's say a swimmer came to my classroom. Their shoulders are going to be, especially a female, and a guy too, is their shoulders are going to be way wider than their hips. So like what I like to say to the students in the animation department where I teach is, this is your character design. You design the characters that work best for your film. And if they have tall shoulders, well, then they have tall shoulders. If they have wide shoulders, if they have wide hips, they have wide hips. I like to, and I'll show you this at the end because these are really good questions. Actually, I'll show it to you right now on a scrap piece of paper. But I like to teach, what am I doing here? In the classroom, that a guy is like a upside down teardrop shape. So this would be the rib cage, this would be the navel, these would be the abs, that would be the privates, and shoulders wider. Lat muscle wider, center of the neck wider. So yeah, and then little kind of thin, like little hips. Now, do I do that often? No, not really. But I just like to teach it because it's food for thought for the students. For me, I'm doing torso peanut shape. So now let's do the opposite. Let's do somebody with wide hips. Skinnier upper body. So it depends on who you're drawing, how much weight they have on their bodies, and what you like, and the model type, that body type that you like. Hey, after all, you have to draw what you like, right? So look at how this is top heavy and that's bottom heavy. Well, if they have a massive butt, let's just say that, then I'm still going to come down and taper like this. What am I doing? We need to clean this sucker up. But their glutes would kind of be pretty thick. So, adjust accordingly. But again, there's no absolutes on this subject matter. It's the individual person. Absolutely, the individual person. Now, what was I going to do? The back view. Okay, we're going to do a generic back view. So I'm going to start the same way I've started all day to show you how easy this is, and it's very, very, very formulaic. And okay, so I'm going to do the torso peanut shape, and we're doing a back view, just like that, people. And I'm going to go a little wider with the upper body on this one. A massive. I like the Y at the end of. You should have wrote instead of dumpy, you should have wrote dumpster. That would have been better. Okay. Okay. So I digress here. So torso peanut shape, back view of the body. Before I get myself into trouble here, so I'm gonna say this is a glute. This is the center line of the glutes. I'm gonna go around. I'm gonna say this is the bottom of that rib cage. I'm going to say that this is 7th cervical vertebrae, so that means my shoulders are going to be there. This is going to be the thoracic spine, lumbar spine, posterior of the iliac crest with the sacrum. I wanted to save this for another video, and maybe we will, but let me just kind of go over this quickly. So am I on the camera? Yes, I am. Okay, cool. So now this would be your cervical spine, and I like to do it like that. Trapezius, deltoid, lat muscle, rib, latissimus dorsi, ice cream cone, deltoid, oblique, leg, glute into that leg. What am I doing? What am I doing? And so muscles on the back. Easy. It's just mid-back. I'm not going to say what rib. Let's just say mid-back wraps around your latissimus dorsi, and this is your V taper down to the sacrum. Making a mess of it. I forgot the most important thing. I forgot the scapulas, which glide over your rib cage, people. Scapulas. And what can we do next? We can sharpen the pencil. Do you have a go-to way of drawing hands? No, we're not going to hands today, nowhere, H. That's not happening. I've got another video on that we did a couple weeks ago on the live stream. No hands today, nowhere. Okay, so our whatchamacallit, our trapezius starts at the base of the skull, and it comes down and attaches to the top of the scapula. And then it overlaps. I forgot what rib or vertebrae, if it's might be 12. I forgot. Don't hold me to it. It's hard to remember all this stuff. I should know it, but I forgot. There's like a lot of fascia right there at your 7th cervical vertebrae, and then we come on down. So there's 3 parts to the trapezius, but we're just going to kind of do it like this right now. So center line. So this is your trapezius, scapula, scapula. This is what you need to know when you're drawing the back. It's this simple. There's more to it than this, but I'm trying to be simple. This is your lat, and it's kind of coming on down to the sacrum triangular thing right above your butt. Okay. Abs, oblique, iliac crest, tensor fasciae latae, and leg. Okay. That's all I got for you today, people. Let me see what the questions are. I'm just going to do one last figure, and then we're going to put this live stream to bed. And where should I do this? I'm just going to do a quick gesture drawing full figure, and then we'll put this one in the bed. Now, listen, if there's anything that you want me to teach in future live streams, I'm going to be doing them on Tuesdays for the rest of April. But once May comes, I might have to take a week off because I'm having work done in my house. And no, I don't want to show this one. I want to use this side of the paper. After that, I might change it to later in the week, maybe Thursday. Because if you follow the YouTube gurus, they say the 2 worst days to do YouTube videos are Monday and Tuesday. But I'm a YouTube consumer. So it doesn't matter the day of the week. I'm on YouTube every single day. So if it's Monday, like, I'm still going to go on YouTube. So I don't get why the gurus say that. But I'd rather not do it on Tuesday. I'd rather do it like a day later in the week. All right, last drawing of the day, people. Sorry, I'm just going to do... I want to switch gears. I want to use the mechanical just for fun. I was liking this one. I'm going to do like a little figure. So same old, same old. Same old, same old, same old, same old. Rib cage. Oval for the pelvis. S-curve for the spine. Head. It's off camera. Ooh, you stink. You stink. You stink. Okay. I don't want to zoom out. Okay. Damn it. Okay. There we go. Let's just do that. I'm going to make this person shorter. Let's do the anatomical landmarks, people. I'm almost done. Like, I'll be... more anatomy is great. Thank you. So I'm just going to do a quick 2-minute style gesture drawing here, 3 tops. This will be the end of the video. I got a live class coming up at 2 o'clock, a Zoom class for members of my website. And in that class, we are drawing a portrait, and we are starting from the eye. And we're going to draw a male portrait. It's going to be fun. So, okay, so back of the ribs, scapula, triangle, triangle. Base of the skull. What else? Triangle for the sacrum. Iliac crest. Iliac crest. What's this? Femur. Foot. Yeah, that person's short. Is it on the camera? Yeah, I'm shorting them. Perspective with the foot. And like Dylan says, let's get the dumpster in. Okay, we've got a dumpster. What else? Oh, ice cream cone. Ice cream cone. Upper arm. Triangle at the bottom of that humerus. Triangle at the bottom of the humerus. And now maybe I'm just going to come on down and muck around with some weird tone. Ooh, trap. Kind of looks like an alien. Let's do the other side of this person's butt and suggest the other foot. So quads, let's give them really, ooh, wrong line. Big quad, football player. Center of the butt, around, 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 and bottom of the rib cage. Okay. I think that's all I got for you. Trapezius. Now, the more we outline it, the worse it gets, people. But we've added some anatomical landmarks. It's a fun little quick sketch. And yes. So listen, I hope you learned something here today from this live stream. Just kind of mucking around and scribbling a little bit, not trying to be so perfect with it all. Again, I don't really plug too much, but my name's Matt. Yes, I have drawingtutorialsonline.com. What's the difference between my website and YouTube? Well, on my website, you can upload drawings of your own and actually get feedback on your artwork. I draw on top of your artwork, and I teach you that way. We also do a weekly Zoom class. We have 3 semesters, fall, winter, spring, and they're 15-week semesters on the website, and we have a live Zoom class, and so we draw together. And then I comment on your artwork, and then you can also upload that Zoom drawing that we do in class together to the critique gallery, and then I critique every single Monday. So that's the difference really between my website, drawingtutorialsonline.com, that you can become a member of, versus YouTube. Like YouTube, I'm never going to look at your work. And having a teacher, a competent teacher who's been teaching for over 25 years, close to 28 years now, look at your artwork. I can see things like immediately. And to have somebody who's competent draw on top of your artwork in Photoshop is kind of like priceless. A lot of it is kind of taken for granted because there's critiques all over the internet. But there's critiques, and then there's critiques, people. And trust me, my students at SVA know because I tend to talk too much. So thank you so much, everybody, and I will talk to you soon. And I'll be back next Tuesday with another live stream. And I appreciate that. Paul, how do we go from anatomy to character? Anatomy, I'll close with this. Anatomy is just like breathing. Like, it just comes first. Like you've got to know like anatomy first, and then you can do weird stuff. Then you can make like a really tall torso and with a long set of abs and a little skinny pelvis, and then maybe like little short legs and a little head. So then you can start to do weird stuff. But now it's the same anatomy. It's just weird proportions. Does that make sense? So that's how I would approach it. All right, everyone. I'll talk to you soon. Appreciate you. And if you can give this video a like and maybe leave a comment in the comment section after the live stream is done. YouTube likes that, and we'll talk soon. Have a good day.